especially after the 2014-15 financial year when and then also the contribution of own source revenue in local governments is nearly 5% on average, 5% of their GDP, which is really a very low contribution. So the Ministry of Local Government, working with a number of entities, came up with the Local Government Revenue Mobilization Strategy, which was basically funded under the REAP program. This strategy was approved by the Local Government Public Finance Management Service Delivery Cluster in December 2022. So we'd like to give thanks to the REAP for the support. Honorable Minister, according to the strategy, MOL will lead the implementation in line with Section 95 and 97 of the Local Government Act. And the Local Government Finance Commission will offer advisory support in line with their mandate under the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda. Again, the local revenue mobilization strategy was intended to complement the domestic revenue mobilization strategy, which is for the year 2019-20, to 2023-24, which is at the national level. It suffices to add that by the end of June, this strategy would have lived its course, and I'm certain that there probably is work going on to renew it or to give it more life. The local revenue mobilization strategy is intended to provide a framework for reforms that will be implemented in the medium term to enhance the potential local government own source revenue collections. The main objective, Honorable, is to improve revenue collections. According to that strategy, it was agreed that a separate strategy be developed to target local government revenues, and that is why we have this strategy here today. How was the strategy developed? The strategy was developed through comprehensive analysis. Namely, there was a diagnostic study on local government's own source revenue. There was a review of the legal and policy framework. There was technical review of local government revenue management systems. And thirdly, and lastly, number 4, we had engagements with all the relevant stakeholders, namely Local Government Finance Commission, Ministry of Finance, Tax Policy Department, Civil Society, where this strategy was discussed and agreed. The strategy validation exercise involved also local governments and local government associations like ULGA and UAAU. The strategy was approved by the Local Government Public Finance Management for Service Delivery Cluster and subsequently presented to and approved by PEMCOM. The key recommendations The key recommendations under this strategy, Honorable, are improvement of the legal and the policy framework governing revenue mobilization, improvement of local revenue administration and management, expansion and rollout of automation of local revenue administration processes across all local governments, innovations in financing government programs, for example, PPPs, and then lastly, to improve collaboration among key stakeholders in the management and administration of local government-owned source revenue. Highlights of the strategy, without delving into the detail. In a bid to expand the local revenue base, there are actions under the strategy that are geared towards widening the local revenue tax base, and they are as follows. Policy and legal reforms. The strategy recommends the update of legislation of major local tax and non-tax revenue sources to align them to the current reforms and practices and to exhaust the potential of the existing revenue sources of local governments. 2, the local revenue policy will need to provide for incentives for raising local revenue, allow local autonomy within nationally set limits. That is the tax base, tax rate, and the exemptions. B, close leakages. The strategy recommends to close leakages, streamline administrative processes, and digitalize the existing revenue sources to improve revenue, mobilization, and management. Doing things differently. Under the strategy, there are actions that will change the way things and methods of revenue administration and management in local governments is done. The actions include digitalization of revenue mobilization and collections in local governments. The strategy recommends the benefits of digitalization are enormous, including taxpayers' identification, registration, assessment, collection, closure of leakages, and on-time revenue reports. The strategy is providing for improved revenue administration methods that support fiscal contract at local level through taxpayer sensitization, dialogue, and inclusion. It also provides for increase in institutional and human